Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Unwoke Thoughts. We got a big show for you today. Big show, lots to talk about, lots going on last night. Kamala Harris went on Oprah. Did you watch it? I think I'm a Kamala Harris supporter now, guys. It just really touched me and moved me in a deep emotional way, listening to Kamala Harris and Oprah talk about random stuff. No, not really. I kid. It pained me even to say that. But I watched part of it, at least. I watched it with a good friend of mine, veteran biker, went on his show. And we watched it until we couldn't really take it anymore. And then we ended the stream. But I think even Oprah herself was left a little rattled about just how much of an airhead Kamala Harris is, you know, and this is who Oprah had on her show and who she is supporting for president. I think even her herself was a little bit, what's going on here, you know? And she's just sitting there, and you can kind of see it in her face sometimes when she's listening to Kamala's answers. Her face is, the best way I could describe it is quizzical. Okay, guys, that's the most nuanced way I can describe Oprah's face. Now, I'm no fan of Oprah, but I don't think Oprah is necessarily a dummy. I think she got bit by the woke mind virus, unfortunately. I mean, she used to be a big fan of Donald Trump. She used to be a huge fan of him. She wrote him a letter. She expressed interest in being his running mate or something like that. I don't know. I mean, they used to be big friends, and all of a sudden something changed. What happened? But Kamala Harris going on Oprah is actually a very good thing for Donald Trump. This type of thing is what we were waiting on, for the general public to be reminded about who Kamala Harris is. And who is she? She's a woman who fell into power and who is a complete phony. You know, for the past several weeks, ever since she got installed as the Democrat nominee, they've been doing a pretty decent job of hiding her from public scrutiny. But as election day draws closer, they have to take more risks and hope and pray. Just hope and pray that the risks pay off. And last night was a risk, and I don't think it paid off. She did pretty terrible, okay? Pretty terrible. But Hillary Clinton, she told MSNBC that she is coaching Kamala Harris on how to beat Trump, which is pretty crazy because do you remember in 2016 when Hillary's genius campaign beat Donald Trump's? You remember that? Remember that 2016? It was crazy. Yeah, I don't remember that either. There are a lot of questions around Ryan Routh. I didn't even know how to say his name, guys. I say it different every time. I'm just gonna say Routh from now on. It's the easiest way to say. But of course, this is Trump's second would-be assassin. But the rabbit hole with this guy keeps getting stranger and stranger and deeper. With Ryan being connected to foreign governments, connected to NGOs, connected to subcontractors of subcontractors, connected to shadowy government organizations. It's really odd. All of which may be why Governor DeSantis said yesterday that the FBI is refusing to cooperate with the state of Florida's investigation into Routh. Wonder what's going on with that. Why would the FBI refuse to cooperate with Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida? It's kind of a weird thing for the FBI to do. Just throw down their toys and go home. No, Ryan Routh is ours. We don't want to play with you. The FBI is a Federal Bureau of Investigation. They work in tandem with states all the time. Ryan Routh, he committed state crimes. And this is what Ron DeSantis explains in his interview. So we'll check that out. Steven Crowder has done it again. Yes. The architect of New York City's COVID response, the one that was basically in charge of the whole thing, their COVID, New York City's COVID response, bragged in a secret recording to a Crowder undercover investigator. Actually, I think it's called Mug Club Undercover. I think that's what it's called. But he thought he was on a date with this girl, and he started bragging, about the position he was in during the pandemic. And he started talking about how he engaged in drug-fueled sex parties in the middle of the pandemic. This is all the while he was locking down people, ruining businesses, destroying jobs and livelihoods. It's a total outrage, total, complete outrage. And he really expressed no remorse when he was talking about this, because at the end, I encourage you to go watch the video. Go to Rumble, Steven Crowder. Most of you probably know who Steven Crowder is. He does some good work. He has two videos from yesterday. One, I believe, is his morning show, where he has the undercover investigator talking to this gentleman from New York, and kind of gleaning information, pulling information out of him, stroking his ego, getting him to talk, get him loosened up. They had some drinks. And the second video, which is, I believe, like a 12-minute long video, I think he posted on Rumble at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock Central Standard Time, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Crowder himself confronts the guy. So it's very interesting. And this is after, a couple weeks ago, he posted an undercover video of the Southern District of New York guy saying that these trials against Donald Trump and Alvin Bragg, this is all BS. And he said he has one of these each week. He's going to be dripping out these undercover videos, one each week following or leading up to, rather, the election. So far, the first one with the Southern District of New York guy ripping apart Alvin Bragg's trial against Donald Trump, that basically resulted in Donald Trump's sentencing date being postponed until after the election, and possibly the whole thing thrown out, because it just showed that nobody takes these trials seriously. It's completely politically motivated. And this second one, huge as well, because it showed the mindset of these individuals, these authoritarian individuals. I mean, I think of them as just total psychopaths. He doesn't care. He wasn't afraid of what was going on in New York when it came to COVID. He wasn't following the rules himself, and he was the one implementing all these crazy rules. So it's very interesting. A lot of stuff coming out from Crowder. Vivek Ramaswamy visited Springfield, Ohio, and a woman told him that an immigrant with a machete chased her daughter, and the police refused to respond to the call. Very interesting. Diddy, P. Diddy, yes, the Epstein of the music industry, has been put on a Epstein watch list. I'm not going to say the actual word, but you probably can figure it out. An Epstein watch list. Yeah, YouTube, if I say the actual word, they'll demonetize this video. Arizona Cardinals security forced a woman to remove her Maga hat after entering the stadium and claimed that the hat violated policies. Former chief Border Patrol agent testifies he was ordered by Biden-Harris administration to cover up the disaster at the border. And finally, newly discovered documents show Air Force had a goal to reduce white male population joining officer ranks. Yes. Before we get into the show, leave a like on this video and also comment down below. Let me know what you think of the show. And if you enjoy the show, consider subscribing and go to mypillow.com. Yes, guys, the deal is still up, guys. Crazy. The blowout sale where they had a box store cancel their order. So they have a lot of, this is what my rep told me from My Pillow. She said, we had this big box store. She didn't say which one. She said they canceled their order. So we have a lot of pillows laying around from a order that wasn't filled. So they're doing a blowout sale here. If you use my promo code UNWOKE, you get you get this pillow for $15, guys. And this is the famous My Pillow. So this is the best time to buy a My Pillow pillow if you don't have one, or even if you do. I mean, it's just, very, very cheap. Limit 10 though. You can't buy more than 10. But I heard if you do 2 orders, if you do one order and then do another order, they won't catch it. So little trick there. Also, I'm drinking my coffee from My Pillow, called My Coffee. It's actually really good coffee, guys. It's a specialty coffee. I like the dark roast Honduran. It's low acidity, organic. So go check that out, guys. Get some coffee, get some pillows, get some other stuff. They have all sorts of stuff. Bathrobes, clothing, slippers. It's all good stuff, guys. From Mike Lindell, who is a patriot. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Oh, that was the wrong post I was trying to get to. Now we're here. Okay. We're back on the rails. Okay. Kamala Harris went on Oprah. And I'm going to kind of go through some of these, just a few of the videos, guys. It was pretty rough. Kamala Harris, as many of you know, she has a condition that causes her to speak in word salads. And I think she feels when she's talking like this, she feels like she is, I think she's trying to be like an Obama, maybe. Maybe she's trying to speak like Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a pretty decent speaker, unfortunately, because I think the guy is very evil, but he was pretty good speaker, I believe. Kamala Harris, not so much. And I mean, you know this, I know this. This is nothing new. But if anything, let's enjoy watching the word salad on Oprah. Listen.
What is on your heart to say to the American people as we have 47 days until November 5th? What's on your heart? To say to particularly those people who are still undecided or maybe indifferent or on the fence still?
We love our country. I love our country. I know we all do. That's why everybody's here right now. We love our country. We take pride in the privilege of being American. And this is a moment where we can and must come together as Americans, understanding.
And this is one of those moments. Do you guys ever get like anxiety watching another person speak? You guys ever get that? Like, I don't know, like maybe you've seen a friend of yours do public speaking in front of an audience, not an audience like this, because I can't see you guys, but in front of like an audience where like you're in the audience and you can see them, you can see the audience, and you get like this anxiety, like, oh, I hope they don't mess up. Or, you feel like it's coming. Whenever I watch Kamala Harris speak, I have that anxiety. I mean, I don't even care if she messes. I think it's funny when she messes up, but at the same time, it's like, I feel it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's like, what is she saying? Everyone is thinking the exact same thing. Even these people nodding along with her, trying to pretend like, oh, wow, she just said something really brilliant and philosophical. Even in their own heads, they're like, wait a second. And you'll see this if you watch, because I got a few clips of this that I'm going to play for you. If you watch Oprah's face, you can tell, like I said, she's got that quizzical expression on her face, and it's pretty funny.
So much more in common than what separates us. Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being. Because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are, which includes freedom to make decisions about your own body, freedom to be safe from gun violence, freedom.
So she's trying to be inspirational. And guys, it's just not working.
To have access to the ballot.
I wish I could. Let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know if I can zoom in on a video on here. I can't. But Oprah's face, it just cracks me up every time I see it. Also, Kamala was having a hard time, guys. When I say this is good for Donald Trump, it is very good for Donald Trump. This is what we've been wanting ever since Kamala was installed as a Democrat nominee, was for her to do interviews. I mean, this was highly choreographed. All of her interviews are. This one was in a little bit of a looser setting, and she had to talk a little bit more. So it really revealed kind of the heart of who Kamala Harris is. She's she's an empty brain. She's an empty suit. She's a figurehead that's not doing a very good job at being a figurehead. And she is, unfortunately for her, running against a charismatic candidate. So the contrast is pretty stark. So she has these individuals around her that kind of step in and try to help her, of course, whenever she falters. And Oprah did this on several occasions. One of these occasions was when Kamala was asked about the border, and she started going off on this random tangent about nothing. And Oprah had to step in and kind of guide her back to the topic at hand and help her along. Listen.
My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the needs, because we know it's within our capacity to do that.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk.
So she was asked by this guy about the border, what specifically she's going to do about the border. And she started off by saying she is a prosecutor, and she started talking about these other things, and she went off on this tangent and that tangent. And then she started to blame it on the Republicans and this bill that supposedly would have really helped the number of illegal aliens crossing over the border. When in reality, I mean, most of you guys probably know this, but that bill would have codified into law 5,000 immigrants a week coming over the border. So that would have been our, illegal immigration situation. 5,000 a week, perfectly fine. Does not raise any red flags. Crazy stuff. So she really blames all that stuff on the Republicans, and she goes off on all these tangents, and she starts talking about basically nothing. And Oprah has to rein her back in. So are you going to pass that bill? She doesn't let her talk because it's starting to get uncomfortable. After a while, she starts, going on these long tangents, and she doesn't stop. So she has to have like guardrails, kind of like, in bowling when they put up the guardrails. That's what Oprah was. And that's what Tim Walz was in that first CNN interview. Also, Kamala Harris says if someone breaks into her house, they are getting shot by her gun. And then she says she shouldn't have said that, which is very interesting because Kamala Harris talks about mandatory gun buybacks, basically, where you would have the government seize your guns. Listen.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes. I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
By what, a BB gun?
But my staff will deal with that later. Yeah. I'm a gun owner.
Oh, yes. The laugh is back. The maniacal laugh.
I did not know that.
Listen. I got to hear it.
In my house, they're getting shot.
Yes. I hear that.
Oh, it's so bad. So, I think she's saying that because I feel like she's trying to appeal to the regular American now. Kind of like what we saw in the DNC, where all of a sudden it was all America. She picked Tim Walz, who's this white guy who's kind of gruff, who apparently used to be this high school football coach when he was actually an assistant coach. So she's trying to appeal to like the middle, and saying stuff like this, does it. But it's just really bad, guys. I mean, There are so many examples here. I got like 3 more of these. Here she's talking to a couple who are having a hard time buying a house.
Not everybody, like my opponent, was handed $400 million on a silver plate. Not everybody, like my opponent.
On a silver plate. I can kind of empathize with that. Sometimes I have a hard time saying the idioms myself. Sometimes I mix those up. But I'm not a presidential candidate. Here is if you see up on the top there, that's actually kind of a cool graphic. They had all these people tuning in virtually, and they had all the screens up there. You know, I think there was maybe like 75 people maybe in the actual audience.
The cat ladies for Kamala here.
So these are the cat ladies for Kamala right there in these screens that are tuning in virtually. Let's go.
Rural Americans for Harris. Caregivers for Kamala. Train lovers for Harris.
Train lovers for Harris. Interesting.
Walt. I didn't know there were train lovers.
Train lovers for Harris. Very interesting. Also, let's see what else we got here. We already saw that one. Here's another video here. ALX posted. This is funny. He said, "This is how it be when your friend has had a little bit too much wine for dinner." Listen.
We are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans.
Look at, okay, this is this is the face I'm talking about when I said that Oprah looked a little bit quizzical. Look at her face. She like looks a little bit quick, like a little bit confused, like, wait, what is going on here? She's like, oh dear God.
By character are people who have dreams and ambitions.
Oh, it's so perfect. It's so perfect, guys, when she tries to, it's so choppy. Her movements are so choppy. Like, what is going on here?
And aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being. Because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our.
You know what she looks like to me? She looks like someone like playing a role, like a caricature. She looks like a caricature of someone playing a politician, or someone, you know, they're playing the politician and they're actually trying to make fun of the politician. Because when she's talking, she looks like she's not serious when she's saying these things. So it's pretty wild. I don't know, guys. That was not a good look for her at all. Also, I must remind you, Oprah used to be a huge fan of Donald Trump. This was back in 1998. Donald Trump on Oprah, listen.
Last year, criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you. But
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to.
It's like a different time. It's like a different time, and most of you guys have probably seen it before. She was very impressed with Donald Trump. She wrote him letters. She said she wanted to be his vice president. You know, I don't know if she was saying that seriously, but, you know, she was very impressed with Donald Trump until she got taken over by this mind virus that has taken over a lot of the left, which is insanity. It's the complete throwing out of rational thought, it seems to me. You know, there's no rhyme nor reason to what they do. They're just mad at everything. They invert reality. And Donald Trump is the tip of the spear threat to democracy to these people, to the left. They won't entertain a reasonable discussion with somebody. They won't talk about someone reasonably. They just think Donald Trump's the worst, and that's what they run on. They run on that and abortion, which is most of what they talked about last night. But speaking of bitter women, Hillary Clinton tells MSNBC that she's coaching Kamala Harris on how to beat Trump. Listen.
So what is your assessment of the stakes of this election? I mean, you are in a very exclusive club of people who've ever run for president, let alone run against Donald Trump. So to what extent do you offer counsel or do you speak with Kamala Harris about how to run against Donald Trump, who, as you've said, is a different candidate now, a darker candidate, arguably, than he was in 2016?
That's absolutely true, Willie. You know, I've talked with Kamala a few times. I obviously talked with her before the debate because he is more incoherent. He is angrier. He is lashing out all the time at everybody. He's filled with grievance and rage. And, you know, in my acceptance speech at the convention way back in 2016, I said, you know, you can't trust somebody with nuclear weapons who you can bait with a tweet, because I saw that in him at the time. A lot of people didn't, or they gave him the benefit of the doubt, or they thought, hey, you know, we've had 2 terms of a Democrat, let's try the Republicans, for whatever reason. I understand that. But now the stakes are even higher because he has a record. We have seen him try to abuse power. We have seen him try to overturn a legitimate, free, fair election.
Legitimate? Okay.
We have watched him bungle COVID and cause unnecessary deaths and pain. So he has a record. And in addition to that, he's told us what he's going to do. He is absolutely linked to this Project 2025 and all of their
I hope so.
dystopian efforts to turn the clock back on Americans' rights and the way we live and how we, you know, look at our futures together.
So, yeah, guys. She's attempting to help Kamala Harris in her campaign against Donald Trump. And, you know, if Hillary Clinton couldn't beat Trump, I mean, come on, Hillary. You go ahead and help Kamala Harris, because Hillary Clinton, as evil as she is, she's a much smarter, sharper candidate than Kamala can ever be, can ever hope to be. And I think we saw that on display last night. I mean, she reminded me of like a loopy ant on Oprah. That's what she reminded me of. A loopy ant who, you know, maybe takes too many meds, or she's on too many meds or whatever. She takes, you know, a couple Xanax a day or what. I don't know. That's what she reminded me. She just seemed a little bit breezy. But moving on to Ryan Routh. Last night, Jesse Waters, he talked about Ryan Routh, and I thought this was pretty interesting. Listen.
So how the citizen of the year with a nice house and a good family turned into an assassin living in a barn with more felonies than money in his bank account. Routh couldn't even afford child support. Primetime looked into it, and he was always behind on payments to his ex, always. She even agreed to terminate the support due to his financial situation. Routh sold his house in North Carolina for $174,000 and then was also living in an $800,000 bungalow in Hawaii. How does a man with no money for child support suddenly start living in a pricey house in Hawaii and afford flights to Taiwan, Turkey, Poland, Ukraine? His neighbors say sometimes they wouldn't see him for 3 years. The house in Hawaii Ryan was living with is connected to his fiancée, Kathleen Schaefer. Kathleen worked at Victoria's Secret. She's engaged to this guy who all of a sudden flies to Ukraine for months, and she's fine with that. As we reported last night, Routh spent 8 months sleeping in Ukrainian military barracks, and he was rubbing elbows with cold-blooded killers. Why would you leave your fiance, who just lost her job at Victoria's Secret, to fly to Ukraine to recruit Muslim militants to fight Russia?
Yeah, so this story just completely stinks, guys. And I'm gonna play you this. So Benny Johnson had Mike Benz. I've been watching a lot of Mike Benz lately. He's his former State Department guy, and the stuff that he talks about just blows my mind. It's really dense stuff, but he knows what he's talking about. Benny Johnson had him on. This is the same day Sarah Huckabee Sanders. He was covering Sarah Huckabee Sanders in that town hall with Donald Trump. If you guys want to watch it, it's 35 minutes long, so I'm not going to play the entire thing, obviously. But it was so good. The guy just goes into just this deep dive on Ryan Routh, and just he doesn't say anything like. He just kind of goes into like his thoughts on who this character is, where he might have come from, and some of these kind of the suspicions swirling around him that he could be maybe connected to some sort of intelligence organizations or whatever. And I'll let you hear him explain it. I'll just play the first couple minutes of this. Listen.
Mike, thank you. I was like delighted to have you on the program. We have probably an hour before President Trump speaks, maybe less, but I want to just begin by saying every alarm bell that you have coached me in, and you've done it often live in front of tens or hundreds of thousands of people, so you've been coaching all of us, every alarm bell is ringing right now. This guy was a NATO sycophant. He was recruiting soldiers. He was working with Iran, working with Afghanistan. He had clearly had his brain broken. He followed CIA operators and handlers on social media who are representatives of every cutout organization you've ever talked about on this program. And I don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but I'm saying that the burden of proof, I guess, is going to now be with the government to tell us, no, this guy wasn't part of something much, much deeper and darker.
Well, I mean, exactly what you just said. It lights up in the brain a veritable pinball machine of blob connections. It's almost overwhelming. I mean, the fact is this is a guy. So the blob is he calls these government organizations like the State Department, Department of Defense, and the CIA. He calls that the blob. That's what he's saying when he's saying the blob. We're told was an unemployed construction worker, jet setting around the world for years to every CIA hot zone on the planet. I've been making the joke that he is the Forrest Gump of CIA paramilitary activity, not just because of, the sort of mentally challenged aspect of Forrest Gump, but because he serendipitously just happened to be at the right place at the right time when the CIA plumbers broke into Watergate and when all these various historical things happened. And the fact is what Routh was doing implicates the CIA activity or it's tangential to the CIA activity in Pakistan, in Syria, in Afghanistan, in Iran, in North Korea, in Haiti. It's you almost can't spin the globe and find a CIA hot zone where Ryan Routh was not actively recruiting paramilitary muscle for the CIA DOD work there. And then you add the very strange protection aura that Routh has had for years. This is a guy who has 74 arrests. So Ryan Routh is how he says it. 74 arrests, and he hasn't spent a day in jail on his record, but never spent a day in jail. So guys, I mean, this stuff is just weird. There's something going on here. And this Mike Benz guy, I mean, he's legit. Like, this guy is a total brain. And he's legitimate too. He used to work for the State Department. He knows how these things work. And if you have the ability to follow him on the social, I don't know if he's on YouTube. I follow him on X. I encourage you to listen to his stuff because it's pretty eye-opening. But it's pretty dense as well. The one that I listened to yesterday was Mike Benz on the Sean Ryan. He's been on Tucker Carlson, but yesterday he was on Sean Ryan show. And it's like a 2-hour podcast. He talks about the censorship apparatus, and it is absolutely mind-blowing. He talks about these news rating websites or news rating organizations such as NewsGuard that create these
He calls them nutrition labels for websites or other news organizations, kind of like you would have a nutrition label on a food package, like, or a carton of milk, how much fat is in there, how much He said these these companies like NewsGuard create these nutrition labels for these organizations, and that's how they're able to give bad ratings to some of these independent conservative media organizations, because they just say that these are bad, and it creates a blacklist for advertisers. And he also says it's all connected back to the State Department, which is wild. But go listen to that if you have time. But maybe this all is why the FBI is not cooperating with Florida's investigation. Ron DeSantis on Fox News, he said that the FBI is not cooperating with them. Listen.
Now, Governor, I want to turn to another topic, because we were relieved to hear that you are doing your own independent investigation in Florida concerning the second assassination attempt on President Trump. My question to you tonight is, are the feds being cooperative with your investigation? Are you concerned that you're not getting the information you need?
The answer is no, they're not being cooperative. Yes, I am concerned. I mean, for example, we were rebuffed, our investigators were rebuffed just going to the fence line outside of Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. And so I think they've taken the position, they don't want the state of Florida to be involved in this. But here's the thing. There were multiple violations of Florida law across multiple jurisdictions. We think at least 3 judicial circuits. This guy, Ryan Routh, committed potential violations of Florida law. So we have a duty to investigate this. We have a duty to bring the appropriate charges, and we also have a duty to inform the public about how this happened. So I don't anticipate they're being cooperative. I think that they've just taken that position, and I think that that's unfortunate, because even though I've been very clear, state of Florida is going to do an investigation, I've not disputed their right to also investigate. It's the federal government. He was in their protective custody as a presidential candidate, but let us do this. So hopefully that tune will change. But I can tell you right now, Laura, we have not gotten a lot of receptive response.
Very disturbing. By the way, we have Routh's mugshot, where he looks to be slightly smirking. He's a very strange individual, to say the least, but we've heard other FBI agents, former agents, Governor, say they think it's quite odd that in the first assassination attempt and the second assassination attempt, there's almost an immediate response from the feds saying that, oh, looks like he's acted alone, or we really don't know what the motives are here. Oh, does that strike you as slightly strange, to say the least?
Yeah, I don't think the public has confidence when that is being done. So as soon as we got word of this on Sunday, I told our guys in state law enforcement, save all his social media, because Facebook will delete it. The tech companies want to delete it.
Right.
So Ron DeSantis doing the right thing. This guy, absolutely killing it. Very odd. And he's right. He had his investigators immediately save his social media. Because what happened very quickly, Facebook took it down, Instagram took it down, and then X even took it down. They probably got some sort of pressure from the government somewhere to take down his social media. But this was, of course, after it had all been archived by like 100,000 people. Because immediately, as soon as this came out, people started just digging up stuff on this guy. It wasn't anything like the other one, the one in Butler, Pennsylvania, Thomas Crooks, right? Yeah. It wasn't anything like that, because we were ready. We were ready and we were raring to go. I even took a video of some of his social media posts on X, just in case that happened. But moving on, guys, to this former New York City COVID architect who bragged on a secret recording about drug-fueled sex parties mid-pandemic. There's a little excerpt right here from this undercover sting operation by Mug Club undercover Steven Crowder. Listen.
I actually was the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate.
Like New York City found out that you were having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah, it would have been a big deal. Yeah, it would have been a real bad. We went to some like underground like dance party like underneath a bank in Wall Street. And we were all rolling, we were all taking Molly, and everybody's high.
These people are sick, absolutely sick. While everyone's locked down, this dude is having sex parties with 200 people taking Molly and drugs. Yeah, guys, that's absolutely incredible. The article says New York City's former COVID czar was caught on a hidden camera boasting about having drug-fueled sex parties. Dr. Jay Varma, who has served as senior health advisor to then Mayor Bill de Blasio and was tasked with running the Big Apple's pandemic response, made the confession in secretly recorded conversations with a so-called undercover operative. I don't know why they say so-called. It is an undercover operative. I noticed that last time they reported on some of Steven Crowder stuff. From a conservative podcaster, Steven Crowder's Mug Club. They need to just report it correctly. It was from Steven Crowder's Mug Club undercover organization. It's called Mug Club Undercover. That's what he calls it. Call it that, New York Post. Why are you playing around? Don't play these word games like the liberal press. But this is what he said. I had to be kind of sneaky about it because I was running the entire COVID response in the city. So this Varma guy running the entire COVID response for the city, locking people down, ruining businesses, ruining livelihoods, ruining, children, because if you see the IQ points of children went down, their math scores went down, their ability to interact socially went down because of masks and being locked down. While he's ruining, millions of people's lives, or making their, maybe not ruin them, but making them significantly worse, he's out there having drug-fueled sex parties. And he's bragging about this. The identity of the woman Varma was speaking to wasn't clear. The nature of their relationship wasn't clear. This is, kind of some stuff that, remember Project Veritas would do. Varma, who no longer works for City Hall, admitted to the Post that he participated in two private gatherings between April 2020 and May 2021, but insisted the secretly recorded conversations had been taken out of context, of course. I mean, that's what always happens. Every time they are caught, they always say, oh, it was taken out of context. Well, these are your words. How are they being taken out of context? But moving on, guys, Vivek Ramaswamy visited Springfield, Ohio, and a woman told him that her daughter got chased by an immigrant with a machete. She called the police, and the police didn't respond at all. Listen.
Hi. So I have a young daughter. I have two daughters, actually, sure. And one of my daughter is younger. So I want to talk about the crime a little bit.
Sure.
Personal crime. So she's been followed around Walmart. She's been stalked. She ran to her car, threw her stuff down, ran to her car. She was chased. Okay? They were immigrants. She was chased by a man with a machete on her way to work. Called the police. She told them what had happened and wanted to file a report. 2 hours later, the police still had not called her back and never checked on the crime. So,
wow, I can't believe this racist woman. Can you believe it? Not wanting her daughter to be chased with a machete by a machete-wielding immigrant? Can you believe it? What a terrible woman. These people of Springfield, it is their entire job to make sure these immigrants can live comfortably in their city. It's their responsibility. It's not, the people who are criticizing the response to the Haitian immigrants in Springfield. They might call you racist. They might call you all these other things, but they live in mansions behind gates. behind fences. They don't have to deal with it. It's a regular everyday person like his mother who has to deal with these types of things. You always notice that it's the ones that are the most critical, that are the most protected. They have private security. They live behind fences. They have millions of dollars. How much does this woman have? Probably not millions of dollars. So, sad to see that. It shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be just sticking tens of thousands of migrants into a city of, 58,000? I think it was 58,000. But moving on to Diddy really quick. Sean Diddy Combs placed on Epsteined watch until or while waiting trial, but mental state is unclear. Sean Diddy Combs is on an Epsteined watch list as he awaits trial. Combs was arrested at a Manhattan hotel on the night of Monday, September 16th. He was remanded by the MDC on Tuesday. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, National Institute of Corrections, the Epstein watch is supervisory precautions taken for inmates that want to off themselves that require frequent observation. So Diddy, the Epstein of the music industry, is he going to disappear? Are we going to have some deja vu? Wouldn't be surprised. I bet he has dirt on a lot of people. I mean, some of the stuff I'm hearing about this guy, it just kind of blows my mind. It's some pretty sick stuff. If you read the indictment, it's wild. But moving on, Arizona Cardinals security forces a woman to remove her Maga hat before entering the stadium. And they claim that the hat violated policies. Interesting. Listen.
She wasn't allowed to wear her Make America Great Again hat, MAGA, inside State Farm Stadium.
The Cardinals are responding, saying that one security guard did not follow policies.
12 News journalist Sean Rice sat down with the woman to get a better understanding of what happened at the Cards opener.
Hey there, Mark and Caribbeas. Today I spoke with Susan Rosener. She has been a season ticket holder for nearly 3 decades, going to Cardinals games with her and her husband. But something happened to her on Sunday that has never happened before. She was told she had to throw her Make America Great Again hat in the trash, or else she and her husband couldn't enter the stadium.
I hear somebody yell, "You can't bring that hat in here." And I thought she was joking, and I kind of went, oh, ha, 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 and kept walking toward the second checkpoint.
They're the words Susan Rosener heard as she was walking up the security checkpoints at State Farm Stadium. They were uttered by a security guard working for a third-party company. When she was asked why she could not wear a political hat to a public sporting event, she was told it violated the stadium's policies.
She's like, no political hats or shirts. And I said, I haven't heard that at all. And I said, that doesn't make sense to me. And she goes, I said, take your hat off. And I go, I'm not sure I want to do that.
After her husband posed.
I'm going to admit something to you guys. I've always kind of wished someone would have come up to me when I'm like wearing a MAGA hat. When I do, someone would come up to me and like demand I take it off. I always secretly down deep inside me, I want that confrontation. I'm a little bit of a confrontational guy. I always kind of like wanted that to happen to me. I don't know. That's kind of sick, isn't it? That's sick. Let someone try it. I dare you. But I've thought about it before. I've mulled that over my head. Imagine I'm wearing a MAGA hat and someone comes up to me and tells me to take it off. It would I think I would have a good time.
The question,
if she takes it off, can we get in?
She opted to throw it away so that she could go to the game.
In retrospect, I wish I would have stood my ground a little bit, but I wasn't sure what the repercussions would be. And my husband would kill me if I did something with the season tickets or jeopardize this somehow.
The Arizona Cardinals and State Farm Stadium have a list of prohibited items when attending Cardinals games. The two options closest to a ban on political attire would be, quote, clothing deemed obscene or indecent.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that deem a Trump hat obscene or indecent. But very crazy. Arizona Cardinals. Crazy. People just go nuts when it comes to Donald Trump. It's crazy. Moving on, I got a couple more to talk about. This is wild. Former Border Patrol agent, this guy's name is Aaron Heitke, testifies before Congress. He was ordered by Biden-Harris administration to cover up the disaster at the border. Listen to this.
In San Diego, we had an exponential increase in significant interest aliens. These are aliens with significant ties to terrorism. Prior to this administration, the San Diego sector averaged 10 to 15 SIA arrests per year. Once word was out the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more than that registered this year. These are only the ones we caught. At the time, I was told I could not release any information on this increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests. The administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border. Fentanyl is another issue. The San Diego area sees between 80 and 90% of the methamphetamine and fentanyl seizures annually for our entire country. With little enforcement at the border, these drugs were coming through en masse. During my last year in San Diego, the price for a single pill of fentanyl, for example, went from $10 to 25 cents. To make matters worse, during 2022 and 23, I had to shut down San Diego traffic checkpoints, which are critical for drug interdiction, because the resources had been diverted to the process and release mission. The large numbers also had and still have a negative impact on the San Diego community. I had to release illegal aliens by the hundreds each day into communities who could not support them. To quiet the problem, 2 flights a week were provided from San Diego to Texas. These flights simply brought aliens that would have been released in San Diego over to Texas. Each flight cost approximately $150,000.
Holy.
This was the administration.
Wow. 150 grand just flying immigrants day after day after day. Oh, guys, our government, the amount of money that they just waste on stuff, it just blows my mind. It's absolutely bonkers. It's bananas. Absolutely bananas. Speaking of dumb stuff our government does, I mean, this just takes the cake right here. It's the last one we're going to talk about. New documents shed light on Air Force's goal to reduce white male population joining officer ranks. I'm sorry. This is kind of racist. I'm not wanting to cry racism on my own race, but, I'm not a victim, but this seems a little bit racist to me. I'm sorry, okay? Why are white males going after? What's going on here? There just seems to be a little bit of a sentiment against white men. What's going on? It's kind of concerning to me. Like I said, I'm not one to cry victim, but I'm starting to see it pop up a lot. Okay. The Air Force finally handed over a trove of documents pertaining to its sweeping goal of reducing the number of white male applicants in a popular officer program after spending months stonewalling requests for their release. And why would they stonewall requests? Well, because they know it looks bad. They know what it shows. They know it confirms this feeling deep inside you that they are going forward with this DEI thing, and it's even worse than we ever thought. Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman C.Q. Brown, at the time the highest ranking member of the Air Force, issued a memorandum in 2022 that the branch was updating its racial and gender demographic goals for applicants seeking to become officers in a bid to prioritize diversity and inclusion. Internal documents obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation include a slideshow from 2020 where the Air Force outlines racial and gender quotas and details how it hopes to achieve a reduced number of white males in its reserve officers training. The documents reflect Biden-Harris Pentagon's intense focus on implementing diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in the armed forces, even as the military. And it's very interesting, guys. We're just starting to see this now. And this is after the DEI project has been in full force for many years now. But our military is seeing dwindling morale among its rank and file recruiting, or dwindling morale among its rank and file, dwindling recruiting. They're not hitting their recruiting goals, and retention shortfalls in low pay. So they thought it would be a good idea to go forward with this DEI thing in order to increase their recruiting, increase the number of people in our military signing up for the military. But really, the inverse is happening. It's having a negative effect, but they are still pushing this. Our military is supposed to be our military. It's supposed to be strong. You know, what young man wants to join a military and they see a commercial of some, I don't know, some pansy guy talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, talking about feelings? No, we need, advertisements out there, men running with guns, flying in helicopters, going overseas and, defeating the enemy. That's what gets young men excited about joining the military. A purpose, a goal, a vision, not, what sexual orientation you are. Like, what are we doing? It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. James Fitzpatrick, the director to Advanced Security in America, had a quote. The American people are rightly concerned that at a time when our country is facing dangerous and increasing threats throughout the world, the Air Force is focused on recruitment efforts based on arbitrary racial diversity goals. Yes. Not merit or increasing the force's lethality. Yeah. Crazy. I mean, we live in a complete clown world. It's wild. CASA, Center to Advanced Security in America, requested records regarding the Air Force's new officer applicant standards through a federal transparency request called a Freedom of Information, a FOIA request. At the time, the Air Force said it couldn't find any records. Oh, we lost all the records. I don't know where they were. I don't know. My dog, the Haitians ate the records, maybe. Maybe that's what happened. The Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, not only are they eating cats and dogs, but they're also eating Air Force records about racism against white people. It's crazy. CASA then sued the Air Force for the records, received hundreds of documents and slides in response, which the DCNF subsequently obtained. The FOIA requests are being processed at multiple levels. One of the units responded to the FOIA request with a no response of records response after conducting their own local search, while the remainder of the units continued to process the responsive documents that were ultimately provided. So yeah, it's very interesting. When you want information, you do freedom of information requests, which is, a constitutional right. They say no. I don't know. We can't find anything. We can't see. We're not going to give you anything. And you have to go as far as to sue. You have to force them to come up with these records. It's pretty sick. These people, these organizations, they don't care about being transparent. They don't care about the Constitution. It's only when they are forced to. You're starting to see this with people testifying before Congress now. No one actually just comes and testifies before Congress anymore. They all, you'll have a request. I mean, it happens every now and then, but Jim Jordan, House Judiciary Committee, they, request someone to come testify. Everyone says no until they're subpoenaed. And sometimes even when they're subpoenaed, they don't come. I mean, look at the head of the Justice Department. He didn't. And they held him in contempt and everything. And, you have someone that did the same thing, Steve Bannon, who was in jail, and the head of Justice Department is not. Crazy. One of the slides in question is labeled AFROTC White, depicts a graph that shows the percentage of white male ROTC applicants declining from approximately 60% in fiscal year 2019 to a projected 50%. The graph further details how the Air Force's goal is to reduce that percentage down to approximately 43% by fiscal year 2029. So we're seeing a decline in recruits in our military, and they're trying to reduce. They're trying to even make it worse. They're trying to decline. They're taking one specific group of people, white people, and then we want to decline this. It's bad enough that they say, oh, well, we want to specifically grow this certain group of people, but they want to decline a group of people. They want to grow one group of people by declining another, while they're seeing just overall a decline in recruits. It's like they're shooting themselves in the foot. White male population will decline as other demographics increase, the slide reads. So this is the slide. Male, female. The respective slides in question also explain that the Air Force is either on track or needs to do more to hit racial and gender quotas in the ROTC's officer applicant pool. For example, with the African American population, the slideshow suggests the Air Force target the male population through ongoing programs and marketing, and notes it has already met its female goal for ROTC officer applicants. For the American, Indian, Asian, and Hispanic applicants, the slideshow says the Air Force is on track to grow diversity. Diversity. You know, people say diversity is our strength. I'm starting to think that diversity is not our strength. Okay, guys? I think there are other things. I think our strength is what unites us as a common citizens, as citizens who have something in common. We have to have, as citizens, we all have to have something in common that unites us. And I think that's our strength, not the diversity part. You can have diverse thoughts, you can be diverse, you can, all this diversity is great, but if you don't have something that unites everyone, at least a few things that unites everyone, like everyone has this 1 or 2, 3 things in common at the very least, I mean, you're going to have chaos. And I think that's kind of what's happening with the left right now. They're removing those common things that we all agreed upon. And some of these are, we all agreed what a woman was. I mean, something as basic as that. We all agreed, certain sexual proclivities probably shouldn't be allowed. And those things are being taken away. So you remove that. We have a lot of America that just has nothing in common whatsoever. They're on a completely different brain wave. they think of reality completely differently. It's so odd. And then you have this stuff infiltrating, getting into government, getting into the military, to their own detriment. Included in the slide deck are funding requests for diversity recruiting initiatives, including $500,000 for diversity advertising campaigns and $250,000 for influencer engagements. In a separate set of documents from as early as 2022, the Air Force outlines its efforts to modify ROTC scholarship programs, which play an important role in accession and diversity goals. The Air Force suggests modifying the scholarship models could remove certain testing barriers to entry for underrepresented groups. So they're trying to lower the standards to get some of these groups into the military to meet their goals. Lower the standard. I mean, we've heard this before. This is nothing new. Got graphics. This goes on for a while. So, but you guys get it. I mean, it's been going on for a while now. And they keep doing it, even though it's very obviously not working. They're not increasing the recruits in the military. It's actually going down, but they keep attempting it. It's like, what do they say? The definition of insanity is when you keep doing something over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Now, that might be like not the true definition, but it's a saying at the very least. But it's at least kind of insane to keep doing that. But that's what we have, our organizations and, our government. They keep doing this. Because now it's like the whole industry is built around it. So It's kind of hard sometimes to put the cat back in the bag when you have a whole industry built around DEI and people have their whole career tracks based around DEI. So it's one of those things. It's an uphill battle to disassemble that structure. But I'm here for it. And I bet you guys are too. But how's it going, guys? That's all we have for today. I know we have a super chat somewhere. I saw it. Let's see if I can like go back. I'll just have to read it off of here. I can't bring it up on the screen, but we had a super chat from We Too Dumb. I don't want to hear Hillary, ears bleeding. Sorry. That was my bad. My bad. Let's see. Who do we got in the chat? Hey, we got Dr. Insomnia dropping the emoji bomb. Yes. How's it going, Dr. Insomnia? We got Michelle C in the chat doing a fantastic job as usual. Hey, we got Christy, some of my great members. Really appreciate my members. Thank you for supporting the show. If you guys want to know how to become a member, you can join a private chat, ultra super secret private chat. Down below, there's a link to join the Unwokals, the members only club. We have We Need Peace joining us, Mama Bear, Trium Infinitum from Scotland. Yes, that's right. Pete, we got Pete in the chat hanging out. Queen B doing a great job modding. Thank you, Queen B. Let's see. Let's find a couple good chats here. Yeah, you guys are saying. Dream Infinitum says massive demographic and wealth shift. It's through the world right now. It's through the world off balance. Yeah, it has. It has, and I feel like with all of this DEI stuff, they're just trying to accumulate power. That's what they're trying to do, because this DEI stuff really divides the average person. It really does. The average person with their neighbor, it really divides people, and this is just typical what authoritarians do. They're always trying to divide the average person, trying to put a rift between the average person and their neighbor. And this is why they really fear Donald Trump, is because, Donald Trump is a populist. He's a real person. You saw Donald Trump go on Gutfeld and his conversations that he had with, 3 or 4 people. I mean, you watch the guy. Even if you might not have anything in common with him, because, Donald Trump is he's a very wealthy man. He still acts like a person. He has a personality. He's riffing and joking around with these other individuals on this show. It's like a real human interaction. They fear that. They can't be that. I mean, you can just see it with Kamala Harris. Like, it's just cringe watching her. Even Oprah, her own face gives it away when she's like, what the F am I watching? You can see it on her face like, oh, that's not good. This is why they really despise Donald Trump, because he does the opposite. He doesn't tear people apart. He brings people together. He really does. And it's true. He's brought a lot of people together. Democrats, independents, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard. He's a unity party, and it's very true. Guys, Southern Sass says, have a really good Friday, everyone. Find some peace, even if it's something simple. That's a good message. Thank you, Southern Sass. Appreciate that. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching this morning. If you could, please, before you get off here, if you could leave a like on the video, and also make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And if you'd like to support the show, down below, I have my links. You can become a member, or you can just shoot me a donation on Cash App too. Always like donations. Also, yeah, go follow me on Instagram, okay? Unwoke.thoughts. Thoughts. Yes. Follow me on Instagram. Instagram somehow very kindly decided that they would verify me and monetize my channel on Instagram. So, hey, I'm here for it. Thanks, Instagram. I hope it lasts. I hope it stays. I hope you're done with the censorship crap. But yeah, go follow me on Instagram, unwoke.thoughts. I keep up very closely with breaking news and all the stuff. I mean, similar to this show, except in real time, maybe. So go check me out there. But thank you for watching this morning, guys. I hope you have a fantastic Friday. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. We'll be back tomorrow morning on the next one. See you then.